There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Like, these animators are on shaky ground.
Yes, correct.
What happened with the actor strike? Did they settle that? Is that over?
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
About a year ago, Rachel Zegler found herself at the center of a whirlwind of backlash following a now infamous interview she gave at D23. The criticism didn't die down quickly. It snowballed for months. Amid this storm, news broke that Zegler would no longer be part of her next major project, Paddington 3. Officially, the reason given was her inability to participate due to the ongoing SAG strike. Despite the strike, Paddington 3 continued production, as it was a British project exempt from the restrictions. However, since Zegler's role was more of a supporting one, it was said she couldn't proceed with filming, but not everyone bought that explanation. Many pointed to the suspicious timing of her exit, noting how it coincided with the peak of her controversy, sparking further speculation. To make things even more suspicious, Antonio Banderas, also a SAG member, was able to keep filming his role in Paddington 3 without any issues. This led many to speculate that Rachel Zegler didn't leave the film on her own, but was politely let go. Since the SAG strike has long been over, Zegler hasn't been announced for any new projects. All her upcoming releases were cast well before the Snow White backlash started, making her situation look worse. It's a sharp contrast from her debut in West Side Story, where she was praised as Hollywood's next big star. Within just a year of her breakout role, Rachel Zegler had landed 6 major projects: Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Netflix's Spellbound, A24's Y2K, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Romeo and Juliet on Broadway, and of course, Disney's Snow White. It was an impressive streak of lead roles in huge productions. But now, for her to go 18 months without being cast in anything new does raise eyebrows.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Especially when her peers, like Halle Bailey, who also starred in a controversial Disney live-action remake, continue to secure major projects. So, in this video, I thought it'd be interesting to explore 4 possible reasons why Zegler may have been quietly let go from Paddington 3, and why she hasn't landed anything new since, starting with the first theory, social change. What I mean by this is that society's cultural opinions and norms are always evolving, year by year. Since Hollywood's success depends on appealing to the audience, the industry tends to shift along with societal trends, for better or worse. This is why some of the biggest Hollywood stars who've stayed relevant for decades often avoid publicly aligning themselves with specific political stances. While they may openly advocate for universally accepted ideas, like fairness and equality for all people regardless of race, gender, or background, they tend to steer clear of taking strong positions on polarizing or divisive political issues. This approach helps them remain appealing to a broad audience, which is crucial in an ever-changing cultural landscape. I think studios might be hesitant to hire such a young and relatively unproven actress, especially one who's been so vocal about her opinions. To be clear, everyone has the right to share their thoughts. That's freedom of speech, but it's also fair to acknowledge that using that freedom can lead to different reactions, or even unintended consequences. I don't believe studios dislike Rachel Zegler on a personal level, or necessarily agree or disagree with what she's said. In fact, I doubt they think much about an actor's personal views at all. What studios care about is whether or not someone is marketable. Casting decisions often come down to who can sell tickets, plain and simple. Take Addison Rae, for example. She landed a movie role with no acting background, purely because of her marketability. So, when it comes to Rachel, it's likely not about her talent or her personality, but whether she's seen as a safe bet for audiences. So, it's possible that studios have taken note of the backlash Rachel Zegler has faced, along with how openly she shares her political views.
Vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Come on. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
What are you doing?
and may simply be hesitant to work with her right now. This brings us to the second possible reason, her rocky start in Hollywood. What's interesting about Zegler's career is that the Snow White controversy wasn't her first brush with backlash. She also faced criticism with both her debut film, West Side Story, and her second major project, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. During the promotion of Shazam 2, fans took issue with comments she made on the red carpet. When asked what drew her to the world of DC superheroes, she quipped, "I needed a job. I'm being so serious."
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes?
I needed a job. I'm being so serious. I mean, a lot of people keep asking me, sorry. No, I mean, the reality was we were in the middle of a pandemic and I was not working and I couldn't get a job for the life of me because West Side Story hadn't come out yet, and it was really hard to book work for me.
By a considerable margin, and
Many fans felt this response showed a lack of appreciation for the superhero genre and the franchise. For a project that relies heavily on its loyal fan base, some thought her comments reflected poorly on her commitment to the story and its audience.
This is Rachel Zegler. Her incredibly off-putting personality is not the only thing you will get out of Rachel Zegler while talking to her. She will remind you that she hates Snow White.
Fans of superhero films often expect actors to share their passion for the characters and the world, which made her words feel dismissive to some. In addition to the Shazam controversy, Rachel Zegler also found herself at the center of another debate during her debut film, West Side Story. She expressed frustration with the Oscars for not inviting her to the ceremony, even though the film was nominated for several awards. It's worth noting that Zegler herself wasn't nominated, only the movie was, which sparked a divide online.
Do you speak the language? Does it matter? Do you eat the food? Does it matter? Where do you come from?
Some felt she had a point, arguing that it was her first major film, and with the movie being such a critical success, it would have been a kind gesture to include her. Others felt her comments were unnecessary, given the circumstances. Ultimately, the Oscars extended an olive branch and invited her to attend, which resolved the situation. While this wasn't a particularly damaging controversy, it's notable that each of her first 3 movies has been accompanied by some level of public division. Perhaps studios see a pattern and are wary, especially in the aftermath of the Snow White backlash, which some fear could lead to one of Disney's biggest box office flops yet. Right now, studios just might not see Rachel Zegler as a marketable choice to lead their films, which brings us to the third potential reason. Where does she fit?
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Zegler's career so far has been built around leading roles. Every major project she's been part of has positioned her as a central figure. It's possible she's being offered roles at the moment, but perhaps they're for smaller parts due to the negative publicity and studios' concerns about her ability to effectively promote a film. If I were in her shoes, I'd likely feel the same way, wanting to focus on leading roles to avoid taking a step backward in my career. Since she's still relatively unproven in Hollywood, she probably doesn't want to risk being boxed into supporting roles, as that could make it harder to land lead parts in the future. For someone so early in their career, establishing herself as a leading lady is likely a priority, even if it means being more selective about what she takes on. Of course, taking smaller roles not only means less money, but, more importantly, less control over the projects and stories you want to tell.
How could we ever see you step into the Marvel Universe?
I would love a job. That's all I have to say. I'll take a job.
Once you're an established, marketable star, taking the occasional bit part is fine, but doing it too early in your career risks getting stuck in that position. Rachel Zegler is likely looking at the careers of other young stars like Sydney Sweeney, Jacob Elordi, Louis Partridge, and Jenna Ortega, and aiming for a similar trajectory. She may be hoping to ride out the current backlash and position herself for leading roles again in 2026 once things have cooled off. This brings us to the fourth potential reason, Snow White's delay. Studios might want to cast her in projects now, but are holding off, knowing that her involvement could draw unwanted attention. With Snow White not set to release until March 2025, the backlash surrounding the film is expected to resurface closer to its release. Casting her now could reignite those conversations and impact other projects' publicity, making it a risky move for studios in the meantime. So she likely won't be considered truly marketable again until late 2025 at the earliest. Perhaps studios are taking a wait-and-see approach, holding off on offering her roles until the dust settles. By then, they might be able to collaborate with her to reshape the narrative around her career and rebuild her image in a way that resonates with audiences. But what do you think about Rachel Zegler's current situation? Why do you think she hasn't been cast in anything new yet? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.